Hey guys, how is everybody doing? The brand new Equalizer movie came out this past weekend, which I did watch. I did not review the other two films. Life got ahead of me, but today I'm going to be doing something that I have done in the past. Today I'm going to be reviewing Equalizer 1 and 2 in just one video. I have done this before. I did it back when I first started, when I did the Hellraiser review series, because there was a fuck ton of those. How many were there? 27? And so I reviewed two of them in one video. I did the same thing with the Creed movies, with the new Creed 3 movie coming out that came out in March, and I decided to review both those movies in just one video. So today I'm going to give you my thoughts on Equalizer 1 and 2 in just one video once again. And I should mention that I've never seen these two movies before. I heard conversations about them. I've heard some people talk about them. I remember seeing advertisements back when Equalizer 2 was first coming out. I never knew much about about these movies anyways. All I knew is that Denzel Washington was in them, and I love Denzel Washington. And that the director of Training Day, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, directed these movies, so I had high hopes. And did they deliver? The video, here are my thoughts on the first Equalizer. Some of my positives on the Equalizer is Denzel Washington as Robert McCall. Like I said, I'm a huge Denzel Washington fan. I respect him. He's a great actor. Almost everything that he's in, I feel he is perfect in. Almost every role, even if the movie is bad, he's always the standout. And of course, he is the standout here. He's a great actor, and he has great chemistry with some of the co-stars here and there. Hell, he's worked with the director before on Training Day. Like I said, is one of my favorite movies of all time. I adore Denzel Washington. Every time he's in a movie, I'm gonna watch it just because he's a great actor. Every time he's in it, he always steals the show. Even if he's supposed to be some sort of side character, to me, he always steals the show. Oh, on Training Day, like he won an Oscar for that film, and there's no doubt in my mind why he won. Of Denzel Washington, I really like the little fight choreography that goes on in this movie. Like he does really cool stunts in this movie, like fighting with the guys, especially that whole scene where we finally see who this Robert McCall is supposed to be, like what he can do and everything. Like how he goes into the to that like Russian mafia thing or something like that, where they keep like a bunch of prostitutes, like a bunch of Russian dudes are in like the room and everything. I really like that scene where he kind of like scans the rooms like he can use this and that, like he knows their movements, and he's like 15 seconds and starts just watching like all the fight scenes, like stabbing people and just like shooting people and everything. Like that whole scene is really cool, especially the finale of this movie, which I think is probably the best part about this film, where he just takes everybody out like they're flies and everything, sneaks up on them, and he uses all the hardware stuff that he works at and everything. Like fight choreography, Denzel Washington does a great job. Not only is he a great actor, he's a great fighter and he's great in action. I feel he does a really good job in this film, and the fight choreography is probably the best part about this movie. I really like the side characters here. Like this whole movie is about Denzel Washington's character Robert McCall. He goes to this diner at like 2 a.m., which is a weird fucking time to go, really. And then like this girl who we don't really know much about, but we do have a hint that she's a prostitute, and then we find out, yeah, she's a fucking prostitute and works for this shitty ass dude. And I really like her character. You feel sympathy for her, especially when she ends up in the hospital because the guy almost beat her half to death. Like scenes like that, it's just like that character you feel bad for. You want her to get better. You want to see Denzel Washington's Robert McCall just fuck this guy up like he's a piece of shit and like everything. Like her character is nice, and there's also like a little story going on where Robert is helping out one of his coworkers to lose weight so he can pass a security guard test, and he's like helping him like work out, helping him lose weight and everything. Like his character, I actually really enjoyed, and I root for him to get that security guard job, and he did, but he almost died. Anyways, I like the side characters here and there. They're enjoyable, they're likable, you root for them, like just simple stories here and there going on where this character, he just wants to be a security guard, but he needs to pass the physical test and he has to lose weight. Robert decides to help him. Scenes like that just shows that Robert's a great character and all the side characters you actually root for. I love the side characters in this film. They're likable, enjoyable, and you root for them. I also really enjoyed that this movie kind of had a social commentary on Russian prostitutes. Now, I don't want to get into too much of it. If you want to find out more of it, go to Google. They'll be your best friend about it. I'll get into a little bit here, but there are actual news statements about Russian places where they have prostitutes and everything. Like, well, not just in Russia, but basically everywhere when it comes to prostitutes, they beat them. They almost beat them half to death. They make them go with certain people. I'll put it lightly. And this movie has social commentary there where like a girl's like, I don't want to do this, and he's like, well, you're gonna do it, and then like this entire movie is kind of like a social commentary on kind of Russian prostitutes in a way. Again, I don't want to get into too much detail there. I don't want to get in trouble, and I don't want my video to be taken down or anything like that. But this movie does have a lot of social commentary here and there that I actually really enjoyed and appreciated. Now moving on to my mixed aspects. This entire fucking movie is basically John Wick. I'm sorry. This movie's basically John Wick. From the character of Robert McCall, he's a retired paid government assassin. John Wick's a retired assassin. And the entire scene when we first meet John, like, there's a whole home invasion scene in this movie. That's basically like from John Wick when we finally see who John Wick is. The entire scenes where we finally see what Robert McCall can do is basically out of the scene from John Wick taking out a bunch of bodyguards in his own home. And fuck, the entire finale of this movie is John Wick. This entire film is John Wick. But this, I do have to say, this movie did come out 1 month before John Wick. John Wick came out in October, and The Equalizer came out in September. This movie did come out 1 month before it, but John Wick is a more popular franchise, it's a more popular character, and it's a higher box office rate, I'm pretty sure, too. Yeah, each film made like $200-300 million. But I can appreciate it. I enjoy it for what it tried to be. I kind of look at it as like a John Wick ripoff, but in a way you could think that John Wick's a ripoff of this movie because this movie again came out 1 month before that film. But again, this movie just feels way too much like John Wick for me. The entire time I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, that's like from John Wick. That scene's basically taken out of John Wick. This character is basically John Wick. But again, came out 1 month before the film. And again, if you prefer this movie over John Wick, good for you. If you prefer John Wick over this movie, I'm with you. Now moving on to my negatives, and I only have one, and that's the villain. John Wick. He's a Russian dude, and he fucking wants revenge for the death of his brother. You know, that actually kind of taken out of nobody. Huh. And and John Wick killed people because somebody killed his dog. He's just really generic. He wants revenge because Robert McCall killed his brother. And he wants revenge, and he wants him dead. He wants to find out who he is, and he wants him dead. That's the entire fucking movie. That's all it is. That's just it. That's his villain. He's not intimidating. He's not interesting. I, I, I just like, dude. Robert McCall can just kick your ass, dude. He can just fucking just stab you in the gut, and you probably just die instantly. Basically, what happens. All in all, guys, I really like the first Equalizer film. Again, Training Day is one of my favorite movies. This movie has aspects from it. I really like this movie. It's a great action film. If you want to see Denzel Washington basically become John Wick and kill a whole bunch of people, this movie's for you. So I would say check this out and go out and buy it. Moving on to Equalizer 2, what are your guys' thoughts on the Equalizer? Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. And now, right to Equalizer 2. Starting off with my positives on the Equalizer 2 is I really like that whole train opening where Denzel Washington has kind of gone back to his ways of being a paid government assassin, and he goes on a train, apparently some kind of like rich father, like some kind of bad dude. It's a generic guy, really. And he's been in a fight with his wife and decides to steal his own child to get back at his wife because that's the most important thing in his life, and so he decides to take her child and leave her, and so Denzel Washington goes on a train, he finds out who he is, and he just takes out a whole bunch of people. It takes out, like, 4 people within 1 minute. That's impressive. Well, not 1 minute, 30 seconds, actually. My bad. No, it wasn't 30 seconds. How long was it? I don't fucking remember. I'll probably have a picture here so I can fucking let you guys know. It's like 30, I don't know. I'll let you guys know later, maybe. But, and then he just takes them all out, walks, he's like, okay. This is what you're gonna do, and that whole scene, that's a great opening, and that's probably one of my favorite parts about the movie. There's actually another scene that I prefer over that, actually. I really like that whole opening. It really sets up what Robert McCall was back at as the paid government assassin that he once was. That's a great opening and kind of gives you a story like this is what we're gonna be doing in this movie. We set you up in the first movie, but now it's just bigger and better, and this is what we give you. Another scene that I really liked, and is actually my favorite part of the movie, and that is the hotel scene. Now, in the hotel scene, I don't really know what exactly happened to the woman, but there's a part where apparently they possibly did. There was possibly a prostitute, possibly I don't know. They don't really say in the film, but apparently they did stuff to her, to put it lightly, and apparently she had to go to the hospital to get her stomach pumped. And if you're a woman, you know that's a horrible thing. And just me as a guy, I know that's a horrible thing. For a woman, that's worser to say. I feel so bad for saying this shit though. And Robert McCall goes over there and he's just like, "Hey, that woman, yeah, I'd take her to the hospital," and he just fucks everybody up. And he's like, and like that whole scene, you're like, yeah, good for fuck those guys. Let them die. All I care. And then he's just like, I want a 5-star review because he becomes like an Uber driver in this movie. He fucking takes his fingers and everything, and then he just breaks his fingers. Like, I want a 5-star review. You know that, right? And then he just breaks his fingers. Like, okay, now call 911. That whole scene is the best part about this movie. And every time I would see like videos on this, hell, even randomly when I was just on YouTube, I saw this video. I'm like, huh. And I watched it. I was like, oh fuck, I wouldn't want to fuck with that guy. That whole scene alone just shows what Robert McCall is capable of. He took out like a whole room of people within under a minute. You know, if I tried to do that, I would probably die within 2 seconds. Now moving on to my negatives, and I don't have many, is the twist of this film. Now, I won't spoil it. Oh yeah, Pedro Pascal's in this movie, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Oh god. That's embarrassing. We're still in positives. Positives, Pedro Pascal. I've become Pascal whore over the years. And I'm glad he's in it. Okay, now we're continuing. The twist in this movie does involve Pedro Pascal, but I won't spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. Where the twist in this movie, where we find out why this person died, who was involved with it, and who was responsible. It was very generic, and I kind of saw it coming. The entire time I was in there like, oh, I bet this happens. And it's like, oh, that happened. Cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Cool. It was just very generic. I saw it coming a mile away. I knew it was going to happen, and it's just, like, that's all they can do for a twist. It's just, could you have done better? Next negative is the story. This story is so fucking generic. Where apparently a person that Robert McCall loved, again, who dies, I will not spoil it for who has not seen this movie, and then he decides to come back and find out who the person was, and then you get that lame twist that it was actually this person that's been working with him this whole time, and then he decides to hunt him down again and kills all of his teammates, and decides to kill him. He does lead to a cool monologue, too. The sad thing is, I can only kill you once. That's a pretty cool line. But there's nothing great going on in this story. Like, I've seen this story 2 dozen times at this point. Can you offer me something new? Possibly? Please? All in all, guys, I really enjoy The Equalizer 2. It's a great follow-up to the first movie. I do prefer the first movie. It doesn't have a great story going on, but I still enjoy this film. If you really enjoyed Equalizer 2, Equalizer 1, I don't feel that you still would not enjoy this film. I would still recommend it, but I don't feel it's worth adding to your collection with the first movie, so I would just say go ahead and stream this one. You guys think about Equalizer 2? Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Along with the first movie, did you like it? Did you not like it? If you have seen it, of course. Thank you all so much for watching on my reviews of the first 2 Equalizer movies. Tomorrow, I may have my ranking out, or maybe possibly today, whenever this video goes live, I'll have it out. But look forward to my Equalizer ranking of all 3 films. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, like it. If you love it, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But of course, until my next video, I'll see you next time.